Dave Birkett here, along with special guest, new Free Press intern, get used to his face, Greg Levinsky. He'll be out here all summer long, helping out with a variety of coverage, not just Lions, Tigers, Mud Hens, a little bit of everything, Pistons. Keep reading the paper for him. And you know this guy, he's going to Mud Hens next week. Just
really?
giving him
Saturday,
a little bit of publicity.
Awesome.
A little bit of publicity. Make sure you check that out on freak.com. And Carlos Monarrez, you know him. He's always here. My foil, he always gets things wrong. Well, I get them right. All right, so Lions wrapped up mandatory minicamp this week. 3 days of practices. Greg, you were out here for today's session. We'll get to you in a sec. This is his first NFL practice. We always like to get the interns' first impressions of things. But Carlos, let me start with you. What'd you learn this week? Anything?
What did I learn? Tease Tabor is good and bad. How about that? After you overhyped him.
That's progress, though, right?
That is progress because he was mostly bad. So after your overhyping story on the first day, you built him up, and then the second day you had a bad day. Today it was kind of a mixed bag. He was honest about it. You know what? And that is something that I think is bodes well for a player who's struggling when they're honest about their deficiencies, their struggles. If they want to pretend that everything's okay and pie in the sky, then you're in denial and you're going to struggle to accept reality. So he knows where he is. He knows the clock's ticking. He's got to make something happen, and I think right now, unfortunately, they got an OT next week, and then that's the week to attend, and that's it. And then training camp comes, Darius Slay comes back. He's not going to be with the first team anymore, so his opportunity for getting these snaps, this extended look, it's kind of ending. I don't know I don't know how comfortable the coaches would be with him right now, but that's been a concern. But overall, the defense has played pretty well, even without Snacks here, even without Slay here. They look pretty good. They've had some picks, some fumbled recoveries. They've been working on, wanting to improve their takeaways from last season because they were dreadful. And the offense is a work in progress.
Carlos, you bring up a good point because we all know last year the Lions just did not force a lot of interceptions, have a lot of takeaways, and it seemed like 7-on-7 drills really slanted towards the offense usually, right? The balls just they shouldn't hit the ground, especially when your first team offense is out there. I think every day they intercepted a pass or two. Quandre Diggs had an interception on the very first play of 7-on-7, if I'm not mistaken, today. So maybe that is a little sign that this defense can. There's no Darius Slay, there's no Damon Harrison. I know the offense, Matthew Stafford and crew are just getting used to this new offense under Darrell Bevell, but maybe it's a sign that there's some progress to be had because we all know how important that's going to be towards the Lions and what they accomplish on the field this year.
I want Greg to say something, but
I know, right?
The one thing I would say about the offense that was concerning, like you said, the balls on the ground is the guys catching the balls were not exactly sure-handed.
Well, there's no Marvin Jones, there's no Kenny Galladay.
I know, I'm just saying, but the new guys, those guys we know. They're known quantities.
Curse.
It's just, you're right. I mean, it's concerning right now that these balls are falling through their fingers. I mean, not that the quarterbacks are all world necessarily, but when the balls have been there sometimes, other than Danny Amendola, Andy Jones has been pretty consistent.
Andy Jones had a nice day today.
Almost everybody's had some kind of pretty easy drop. It's like, that shouldn't really be happening right now.
We're going to get back to that in a sec. TJ Hawkinson had one early on in practice today. You're right. Andy Jones played well. And just wrapping up the Tease Tabor discussion, I thought he did some good things today. He did have another interception, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, he did. Ran all the way back to the house, by the way.
So, look, Tabor he's not going to be working with the first team defense when the fall gets here, when the summer training camp gets here. And maybe this was good that he got a lot of reps against some – I guess I shouldn't say against some number one receivers since Marvin Jones and Kenny Galladay haven't practiced at all, but he got some reps with the number one defense. That could bode well for him. All right, Greg, I know you've been sitting here. And
all right. Thanks for joining us, Greg. All right, that's all the time we have.
Sorry, so he grew up a Patriots fan.
Oh, my God.
So maybe, I know, right? So maybe he's used to seeing some of the Bill Belichickian, Matt Patricia type thing. Well, you guys know how this is. The fan in you sort of gets kicked out of you when you get into this profession. But just give me your very first impressions of first NFL practice that you watched. What'd you like? What didn't you like? What interested you? What was it like? What was that for fans out there who don't get to see it? What was it like
my first experience, I've been to a Patriots training camp before, but I never covered a practice, especially one that their fans weren't at. So it was really good experience. Obviously, there's media there, but not a ton of media. Not 50s, hundreds of people, and we got to see everything that was going on. I thought that at the end, when we talked to Matt Stafford, when you guys were talking about with the receivers, he was very. Saying it was very important to know that he hasn't had a lot of opportunities with these guys yet, and that reps are really important. But I would say overall it was really good experience to get to see how the practices work. It was pretty fast-paced, I think, especially at the beginning. It seemed like they were flying through all the drills. And then it kind of came to a screeching halt at the end.
Yeah.
But then it picked back up and it was over.
I think people don't realize that how much an NFL team gets accomplished in the relatively short period they're out on the field. I mean, it really is one field to the other. You're running period to period, 7-on-7 here. Maybe you're doing a blitz period over here. There's so much that gets done. These things are so well structured, and they try to cram so much into the limited time that they have on the field. As Matt Patricia talked about the other day, you're only allotted so much time with players during this third phase of the offseason here.
Right, no breaks. They were just going, nose to the grindstone the whole time.
I know you were watching a couple players in particular today for some things that you might write. Was there one player, one moment, anything stand out to you, that a player that jumped off the screen to you?
Well, I think we were talking about Andy Jones, and we should still talk about him. He had a great catch in the first 7-on-7s, kind of a light 7-on-7 drill, but he had a great catch off his back shoulder in the end zone. He had 2 straight catches from Matt Stafford. It seemed like Stafford was really looking for him today. Like we said, the receivers that he has right now maybe aren't the guys that we'll see in the future, but for now it seems like Andy Jones is a target that he really likes.
No Marvin Jones again, no Kenny Galladay, so those are going to be the Lions' top 2 receivers when the season rolls around. Andy Jones, Carlos, we've talked about him before. I mean, this is a guy that, as you look at the way this receiving core sets up, Marvin Jones, Kenny Galladay, Danny Amendola is going to be your slot guy. We'll see if Jermaine Kearse has a role. I mean, maybe he's your backup slot, but he doesn't have a lot of special teams value. Andy Jones could be this team's 4th receiver. I mean, Travis Fulgham, again, the draft pick, maybe he's in the mix, but Jones is a guy that plays a lot of special teams. He blocks. He does some of those little things. I don't know. If I'm picking the team right now, I'd probably put him on. What about you?
I don't know. It's always early. I think in camp and minicamp, someone always looks great, right? And then when the pads come on, it's a little bit different when the preseason comes around. Teal Redding. Teal Redding was you put him in the Hall of Fame, I believe, one training camp.
Pro Bowl, no Hall of Fame.
Yeah, it's always somebody who looks great, and there's no contact. So but it is telling that Stafford has spent quite a bit of time not only looking for him, but talking to him on the sideline, trying to get on the same page. Right now, it just may be the best of the worst that he has to work with, so he's giving him a little bit more attention. And I mean, Danny Amendola, I know
you love your Amendola.
Hey, little inside information here. Dave and I have a little friendly bet on lunch.
I'm gonna win as usual.
Because you stack the deck against me.
Or maybe I'll win.
Maybe you'll win. I think Danny Amendola is going to lead the team in catches. I mean, Stafford is just looking for him all the time. All these checkdowns, all these whatever. Especially the first year of Bell's offense, Stafford's not going to feel probably completely confident in throwing deep to Galladay or whoever it might be. So he's
that's
the checkdown.
Stafford's
He's the
game throwing deep. Even in Bell's
not anymore. Not anymore. They're going to be
Plus
running
he's
the
got
ball.
Those tight ends.
Yeah, once he throws 3 picks, you're gonna see how much the shackles come back on. But I mean, it's not to say that's a bad thing that you're checking down to Amendola if you need to. If the run fit's not there or whatever, you got to change it. Amendola's sure hand, and Amendola has looked good. I mean, he's caught. I don't think he's dropped a pass. The dude's got hands of glue. I don't know if he's not Golden Tate quite at that level. I think he's I don't know if he's ever been at that level, but he's pretty good. I mean. So I think that's something to look forward to.
I mean, he really is. And the way this, again, and to me, Andy Jones, I mean, you mentioned the catches that he had today, and he did. He made some nice catches. He did some nice things. But to me, Andy Jones' fit with this team is about everything else that he does.
Sure.
It's about special teams. He can play gunner. He can be on your kicks team. The blocking that the coaches were so high on last year. So just as I look at the composition of the roster, when you need a 4th receiver to be active, he's got to play some special teams. That's why I think he could be in.
So you're saying he's the next exciting player like T.J. Jones?
No.
Someone like that. See, these guys, beat writers just love predicting the roster of guys that you're never going to see actually playing games. It's going to be like, oh my God, he's going to be the 8th defensive lineman. Oh my God, it's so exciting. Like, come on. All right, fine. He might make the team because of everything he contributes, but is he going to be some impactful player? Probably no.
That's a myopic view, Carlos. Special teams, can you not have a significant... You go talk to John Bonamago about the impact that a blocker has on special teams. All right, you don't even buy what I'm saying here. All right, so let's wrap it up with this. One more week of off-season workouts, I guess. There's not going to be any Darius Slay. There's not going to be any Damon Harrison. Let's just go down the line here, and I'll give you a sec to think. We'll start with Carlos. But just your biggest concern, I guess, with this team as we head into the summer, as we get ready for the 2019 season.
It's offense. I mean, offense just really right now, like I said, the catches have not looked good. The run game, you're just not going to know until even when the pads come on. They're not going to really go live tackling. When the preseason comes, we'll see it more. But even Stafford, I think, Greg might speak to this a little bit more, but just he's got to learn the offense still. It's I hate to say it's a work in progress. To expect them to come in with a whole new system, a whole new philosophy, new coordinators, some new players, getting that all to work at a really high level right away, not great, And then you don't. I mean, I think you just can't understate or overstate the absence of Golden Tate. I mean, he was such a consistent player for this team, and now I think Amendola has promise, but Hawkinson. That's another thing. We haven't seen that much, but the tight ends haven't looked great. They haven't looked for Hawkinson that much in the pass game. But Nada, Jesse James, they've had drops. They haven't looked spectacular. I'm really concerned about this offense.
Greg, look, I know you're 4 days in the job here, so I don't want you making any big proclamations that you may
regret. I can add, though.
But yeah, go. I was going to say what.
I mean, in the scrum with Stafford, he was talking a lot about trying to establish rapport with different guys. How he can't really say how much Jermaine Curse is going to be in the offense, how much he's going to use Danny Amendola, because he frankly doesn't know yet, and it's so early. So I think you're right that could be a concern, because maybe other quarterbacks and other teams are saying, oh, I know my guys, and obviously his guys are on the team. They're just injured at the moment. So I think that is a concern, but when those guys come back, I mean, I don't think that concern will be there anymore.
It'll be intern, not going
to one thing that, I mean, Greg has a good point there, that he's, Aaron Rodgers right now, he's talking about, I want to throw to Devontae Adams more. He knows who he has. He knows who he works well. They're tweaking, even though they're getting a new coach, they're tweaking things. Stafford, it's like a whole new thing, and it's just the unknown. The unknown usually doesn't bode well, early on.
So, two things, just to your point about the tight ends and everything. I think, the offense is still a work in progress. That's why we've seen some of these INTs in 7-on-7s, and that's why Hawkinson had a drop today where he tried to catch a pass one-handed, got cussed out by the coach. They're not as working with the rehab group, so we haven't really seen him. Jesse James looked like there was a miscommunication with Stafford. So I think there's a lot of things that still need to be ironed out there. But just to play devil's advocate, if we're talking about biggest concerns, everyone thinks this defense is going to be great, and we may have talked about this briefly the other day, but look, Darius Slay's not practicing. Damon Harrison's not practicing. Trey Flowers isn't practicing. Justin Coleman is barely practicing. I mean, that's your two best returning players and your two biggest free agent additions of the offseason. And who knows what sort of state of mind, Slay and Harrison come back. And I don't think they're going to pout through the season or anything like that. But I don't know. I mean, have we overvalued the defense a little bit? Do we think that,
no.
A lot of people think this defense is going to be really good, and I think they have the potential to be a pretty good defense, but I don't know. I mean, we still don't know who the number 2 cornerback really is. Tracy Walker has looked good, but he's never really done it over the course of a season. Like, there's probably more concerns on defense than we've can appreciate or have given credit to.
Well, I think the defense will be fine. I mean, I think these guys, Slay and Harrison, they're vets. They know how to take care of their bodies. They'll, injuries can happen anywhere, but I think they'll be fine. They'll come in. I think to them, almost they're looking at as contract years in some way. They're not going to come in and slouch or whatever. They're going to be ready. They're proven commodities. The defense took a step forward last year. Patricia's been spending a lot of time with the DBs, and it's true. It's kind of like we don't know. It's not exactly settled. The second cornerback, Tracy Walker at safety, but you have Quandary, you have Slay, you've got Justin Coleman should be decent. The linebackers are okay. That's a little bit of a moving puzzle too. But I think that this is Patricia's thing, and he proved it last year that the defense he could make it better. So I think even if they're not okay, they finished 10th I think overall in yards. They'll still be around there. I think they're not going to take some big step back unless you have horrendous injuries, and then it doesn't really matter who stayed away. But they'll be fine. I think you would expect them to be a little better than they were last year, but even if they hold serve at where they are, they'll be fine. But it's the offense. I mean, you can hold teams to 10 points, but if you're scoring 3 or 6, it's not going to help you. So, but it's true. I mean, we are expecting good, decent things from the defense. But I don't think it has anything to do with Snacks and Slay staying away.
And it's not just them. Like I said, no Trey Flowers. He's coming back from that shoulder surgery. No Justin Coleman yet. So
that would be a train wreck if Flowers is not ready for the season or for a camp. But isn't it better to be more cautious
Absolutely.
right now?
And I think they all will be. I mean, they're all, even Marvin Jones, Galladay, they're running on the side. They look fine. They're running routes on the side just with trainers.
Galladay had a catch, I think, in 7-on-7s.
I don't know. I don't think Galladay was out there, but he was certainly running.
He was running around.
Yeah, he was running. So
they would probably, if this was camp, they'd be playing. Right?
There's
they'd be practicing.
Serious injuries, or there doesn't appear to be any serious injuries right now. So the Lions should be thankful about that. Still a long way to go till we get to the regular season. We got, like I said, one more week of the off-season program here. Then the Lions, everyone in the NFL really will take about a month off before they come back. Training camp, end of July. Carlos, Greg, we will all be here to bring you all the Lions news from training camp. So that'll wrap it up for here. For Carlos Monarrez, intern Greg, as always, we appreciate him. Or your introduction to him. He will be out here again all summer too. And Dave Birkett. Thanks for joining us here on Freep.com.